Ever wondered how one of the world's most feared terrorist organizations came to be? It was the late 1980s, a time of great geopolitical tension, when Al-Qaeda first emerged. The group's infamous founder, Osama bin Laden, seized an opportunity amidst the chaos of the Soviet-Afghan War. This conflict was more than just a battle between nations. It was a breeding ground for extremism, an ideal stage for bin Laden to shape his vision. He was not just a spectator, but an active participant, capitalizing on the war's turmoil to recruit and train militants for his cause. In the rugged terrains of Afghanistan, bin Laden found fertile ground to sow the seeds of his extremist ideology. Out of the ashes of war, he built a formidable organization, one that would go on to leave an indelible mark on the world stage. So, Al-Qaeda was born out of a war that would change the course of history in a way no one could have predicted. From its inception, Al-Qaeda was not a group to be taken lightly. As the 1990s rolled in, the group began to make its chilling presence known on the global stage. The decade was marked by a series of operations that would demonstrate the extent of Al-Qaeda's reach and ambitions. The group, under the leadership of Osama bin Laden, was quietly expanding its network and influence throughout the Middle East and North Africa. They were weaving a web of connections, recruiting new members, and establishing training camps. It was in these camps that they would prepare their followers for the acts of terror that they would soon unleash upon the world. The first of these major operations were the 1998 U.S. Embassy bombings in East Africa. In a coordinated attack, Al-Qaeda operatives detonated trucks laden with explosives outside the U.S. embassies in Kenya and Tanzania. The blasts resulted in the deaths of over 200 people and injured thousands. 2 years later, in the year 2000, they struck again. This time, their target was the USS Cole, an American naval destroyer docked in Yemen. A small boat, packed with explosives and manned by Al-Qaeda suicide bombers, rammed into the side of the ship, causing a massive explosion. 17 American sailors lost their lives in the attack. These incidents were not isolated. They were part of a larger, more sinister strategy. Al-Qaeda was not just a group carrying out random acts of violence. They were a well-organized, disciplined entity with a clear goal: to wage a holy war against those they perceived as enemies of Islam. In the span of just a decade, Al-Qaeda had succeeded in spreading a palpable sense of dread across the globe. They had shown the world that they could strike anywhere, at any time, with devastating consequences. Their name, once relatively unknown, was now being uttered in hushed tones of fear and apprehension. In just a decade, Al-Qaeda had become a name synonymous with fear and terror. The new millennium saw Al-Qaeda reach an unprecedented height in its infamy. As the year 2001 dawned, the world was oblivious to the horror that was about to unfold. On a clear September morning, Al-Qaeda, under the command of Osama bin Laden, orchestrated the most devastating terrorist attack in human history. Twin Towers, symbols of American prosperity, were reduced to rubble in mere hours, taking with them nearly 3,000 innocent lives. The world watched in disbelief as the tragedy unfolded, forever imprinting the date, September 11th, into global consciousness. This audacious act of terror had far-reaching consequences, leading the United States to declare a war on terror. This marked the beginning of a relentless global pursuit to dismantle Al-Qaeda and its affiliates, a pursuit that continues even today. The 9/11 attacks marked a turning point, not just for Al-Qaeda, but for the entire world. Al-Qaeda's reign of terror has left an indelible mark on our history. Born out of the ashes of conflict in the late 20th century, this extremist group rapidly rose to infamy, casting long shadows of fear and dread. With a twisted ideology and ruthless tactics, they seized the world's attention through a series of horrific attacks, culminating in the tragedy of September 11, 2001. But as the dust settled, it was clear that the world would not be cowed. Nations rallied, pooling resources and intelligence to combat this common foe. Today, Al-Qaeda is a shadow of its former self, disintegrated by relentless pressure from international coalitions. Yet, the remnants still lurk in the shadows, a grim reminder of past horrors. Al-Qaeda, a group born out of conflict, has indeed sown seeds of discord around the world. but the fight against them continues, a testament to human resilience and the undying hope for peace.